Well, today was a good day. It was. And I was proud of myself because I left my vape at home. So I was standing next to the window. I was making that video. And I knew because I set it down on the windowsill. And because I was stretching because I used, I figured out or found out, realized when I was standing there, I was trying to stretch. And I always try to stretch my anterior tibialis, the front part of your shin. I try to stretch that, but it's hard to stretch that against the floor because it hurts your foot, or at least it hurts the top of my foot. So I can't really stretch it. But Tim and Jody, at the very beginning of all this, gave me some dog beds. And one of them is very thick, very thick. Dogs usually don't lay on that one for some reason. Only a couple do. But they don't gravitate toward that one. Anyway, but it's very thick. I'm surprised. It's very comfy. So I put my foot back and had set it on the pillow because I put it right by the window. And I could stretch my leg out. I was like, oh, it felt so good. I can put so much pressure on it. That's the thing. I would like to put a lot of pressure on my foot in order to stretch that out efficiently. But I can't do that on the floor. I even try to use my flip-flops, and it still hurts. So, yeah. It was good. But I had left it on the windowsill. I went and did something else, and I realized, I looked over there, and I was like, oh, it's sitting over there. Okay. And I just, in my head, I was like, I bet I'm going to leave that behind. I swear I'm going to leave that behind. I just guess I shouldn't have put that out there. But anyway, I didn't say it out loud. But yeah, it was still a thought. Anyway, so I was doing the video, and then he showed up. And I thought he was going to be late, right? Well, apparently his appointment that I was thinking about, that was at 11 o'clock, is tomorrow. His appointment wasn't until a little later. So we were even able to stop by Staples. They only have little bags of peanut things that you put in packaging, because that's what I do. I print kind of strain it is, the information about all the strain. And I print labels, little labels, adhesive ones. And then when they usually come in chicken bags. I don't know why they call them that, but this is what it's called. Turkey bags. Yeah, that's what you put a turkey in. I've never cooked a turkey. So I actually got a turkey from my counselor, and it just sat in my fridge. Anyway, a lot of food just sits in my fridge. Me and Haley had a conversation about that. He said, yeah, I go to the store and I buy all this food, and then he eats out during the week, And when he goes on the weekend, go in his fridge, everything is bad. So I don't know. But my thing, I never went anywhere. I just don't really eat. So I don't really get hungry. A lot of people are like, oh, it's lunchtime. Oh, it's supper time. When this all started, and I cut out my lunch. That's all I did. I cut out my lunch because I'd always go to Subway and get a 6-inch tuna sandwich with sweet onion and mayonnaise. Yeah. Everybody, when I walked in there, since I got the same sandwich every time, they actually kind of were like, oh, I'm going to make it, because they remembered it. This one girl, she said, I thought about that the whole time I was at home. Like, what was on her sandwich? Yeah, it's always the same. I always got, I haven't been there so long. I didn't even have to say it no more. Like, kind of bread has cheese, Parmesan garlic bread, tuna, sweet onion, mayonnaise, and then I don't really like onions and peppers and all that. I just don't. So I put lettuce. I really don't like spinach. I put spinach in my smoothies, though. If you put spinach in your smoothies, you don't taste it, but you still eat it. They say eat dark lettuce. I hate dark lettuce. Anyway, so I put lettuce, and then I put tomatoes. Lots of tomatoes. They always want to put 3, sometimes 2, and I'm like, put another one on there. One time I put 4. I'm going to put 4 on there. I used to have to tell them that. But I didn't have to tell them that after a while. They always put 3. Because 4 was a little too much. So, yeah. Because they usually only put 2. So I'd always have to tell them, please add another one. So I wouldn't have to tell them no more. And black olives. Excuse me. I finished my potato soup. It was really good. I still have some potatoes out there. I actually bought some more potatoes. That's the thing. When I like something, I eat it over and over and over and over. Till I get tired of it. And then sometimes I run it for myself. Like I used to make parfaits all the time. That was like my supper. Yogurt, granola, and strawberries. And I really don't gravitate towards strawberries anymore. I used to dip them in sugar. I used to put everything in sugar. My gum. I used to put my gum in sugar. And just, yeah. Sugar is actually the food for cancer or something like that. Sugar's bad for you. It feeds bad things. Just FYI. If you want sugar, you should eat monk fruit. Use monk fruit, which looks like sugar. It actually tastes like a little stronger than sugar sometimes. But yeah, just substitute monk sugar for monk fruit, and you'll be straight. I learned it from a doctor, by the way. And not one you go see in a clinic. He's actually on social media type thing. Dr. Living Good. He was a doctor. He was. He still is, in a way, but he doesn't practice like doctor. Because he realized that you get a diagnosis and you get a pill. It's a vicious cycle. And they can't treat you unless something's wrong with you. There's no like a proactive thing. Anywho, I'm getting off topic. So I was proud of myself today because I left my vape behind. And I didn't really crave it. Like when I first realized it, it was like an anxious, oh my God, I forgot it. But it's not the nicotine that I'm addicted to. Because I would grab at the ones that didn't have any nicotine. I would look for them. So when I was talking to ChatGPT, when I had nobody else to really talk to for informative information, because I was expressing that I had forgot it at the pool one time, and my fanny pack thing, but it was made out of cloth. So every time I took it off, people thought I was taking my pants off. Yeah, first time JC was over here, I took it off. He's like, "What are you doing?" I said, "It's taking my fanny pack thing off." But yeah, it's black, so it looks like it's part of your clothes. So you don't know people don't realize you're wearing it. So I actually cued the PT that I fired. I cued her. Maybe it was her assistant, PTA. And I said, it's going to look like I'm taking my pants off, but I'm not. I'm just taking them off my belt thing. And when I did it, and she's like, yeah, it does. Like, yeah. I've been told. Yes. I'm looking at my pictures from Daily Memories. I really don't know where these pictures are stored, to be honest. I see some pictures on there that I'm like, huh. But this one, I have long hair down to here. So my hair's growing back out. FYI. But it's curly. It's a natural spiral. Once it gets long enough, it just does it on its own. So it looks like I did my hair. But I just wet it down like I do now. But it spirals. It's very beautiful. Anyway, I'm anxious. I just don't really know if I'm going to do color. I have a love-hate relationship with my grays. Especially in long hair. But they're my scars. And scars are a witness to something that tried to injure you. So you should be proud of them. They're not a wound no more. If it's a scar, it had healed. And they're my scars. So they're my proof that I've been through some shit. Because otherwise you really can't tell. Unless I tell you my story. Like I did on the well ride. Yeah. He's like, I wouldn't imagine, like, you are, I don't know what did he call me? resilient type person. But that's not the word he used. But that's what he meant. Yeah. My story's not pretty. And it's not something I could make up. I was telling Haley that too. I was telling him how my dad is very, can just make things. Because he was talking about a boss the other day. He was talking about he had a boss. And a lot of things that he learned from white people. He's from Jamaica. He's black. Apparently I don't know if everybody in Jamaica is black. I would think so. Otherwise, the sun would scorch you. Like, it would scorch me. It would. That's how, I have a friend, well, knew somebody that was from Nigeria. And, yeah, it's so hot. Like, I wouldn't be able to live there. I would get skin cancer and fry. Like, it would not be enjoyable. But they thrive there. Anyway, so being here, most of all of his bosses were white, which is understandable because there's majority of white people live in U.S., I assume, well, as far as I've seen. And he said that this guy, he always had a tool. He always had a tool for a specific job because he was in a restaurant business. And he said, you know, you had to cube up the onions, right? So he said, you just have to peel them and then you stick them in this thing and go, and I cubed them. Instead of standing there, you know. And he said the difference is in Jamaica, they don't think about tools to make the job easier. They just say, get the job done. They have tough love over there. When he talks about back over there, yeah, he said, but they love you because they support you, but they have tough love. And I'm like, if they talk to me the way you say they do and treat you the way they, I would not feel like you love me. But my code is nurturer and knowledge. But the way you would love me is in a different way. Like a different way than you would a blueprint. Different way than you would do I think it's called action. And one is knowledge. So each person has different personalities. And people are more susceptible to feeling loved through different interactions. Anyway, that's a whole nother topic. So he said there was always a tool. So when I started working for him, he got a tape. We use water tape to tape up the boxes. And water tape is just like, he pointed out, it's just like Amazon's tape. You know, it has strings in it, which is very hard to break. Anyway, so we got a tape cutter thing because you have to wet down the tape. It's wet tape. And so it goes, it's a ball, round, you know, tape. And then you fish it through. And then it goes over this little wheel that goes into the water. And you just push it across, get as much as you want. And then, they got the TV cut off. The TV was giving me my light. There you go. Yeah. See, obviously I don't like overhead lights. I like lamps. I prefer lamps. Shh. I have a Fire TV. It's old. It's the first TV I bought when I moved here. When I moved here the first time, I didn't have nothing. I drove up here, me and my ex. We drove up here in it was always mine, Cougar, black Cougar, which was originally my sister's back in the day. Long story. And all I had was in the car was my clothes. That was it. I left everything behind. First time I moved up here. I didn't know nobody up here. Yep. But this time I got my dressers up here. I made these dressers by hand in class. Of course, my teacher was there, you know, helped me. But yeah, sophomore and junior and senior year were shop class. Anyway, off subject. So we got a tape cutter. So he made that statement. And I said that my dad, he just makes shit. If he has a project that he's trying to do and he just thinks of what would make it easier, it would be easier if I had this to help me with this. My dad can think that way. He just does. And he just makes it out of, he just scraps. My dad is a hoarder, very organized hoarder. But yeah, he keeps everything. Everything. So he always has what he needs on hand. You know, extra this, extra that. So he just builds shit. He has a welder. Usually it's made out of metal. Sometimes wood, but not usually. Usually metal. He uses a lot of things out of metal. He has a grinder. He always had this thing, and it shoot sparks when I was little. He still has it, but yeah, I remember that he's like, stand back, close your eyes. All right, Dad. Anyway, the point of that story was I don't have an imagination like my dad. So my life story, I could not imagine. Just FYI. I could not make up my life story. At least this past year, or 2024, I could not make that up. 2024, 2025. Could not make that up. Anyway, it's not for everybody though. Anyway, so we stopped by Staples, got the water tape, went to the warehouse. There's a guy, like, it's called Man's Cave. It's just like, it looks like a place it's like a storage units. That's what it looks like, storage units. But each one is a business, like a personally owned business, which I think is pretty cool. But this guy that does something with motorcycles, he has a lot of motorcycles in it. It's right next door. And he lives there. So, granted, it's like a storage room, right? It doesn't have no water, no toilet, no shower, no kitchen, no nothing. It does have a little, what do they call those? Anyway, I would put my bed up there. If I had to live in a storage shed, I would put my bed up top in like, there's a high rise. There's a wooden thing. There's no ladder. I would make a ladder or something. You know, kind of like a bunk bed. I would. And I'd make it homey. But of course, I'm a female. Anyway, so he's very ratchet. What is it called? He has a bad attitude. Let's just put it that way. Crotchety. That's what we call it. Anyway. So when we were coming out, because Haley likes to smoke cigarettes. And he doesn't do it in the unit. And he doesn't do it in his car. He doesn't smoke in his car. Which, because he said he had been around, when he's not smoking and he's around people that smoke, he said it just smells nasty. And then he thinks to himself, is that what I smell like? Yeah, cigarettes don't smell very good. That's why I don't kiss anybody with cigarettes who smoke cigarettes. And I don't. Because it tastes like an ashtray. It tastes like I'm kissing an ashtray. Literally. That's what it tastes like. I've done it one time. I said, I'll never do it again. No. Ugh. That was way back in the day. Anyway, so I'm very grateful that we have little tools. The exact tools that we need to do the job, to make it easy. He's always about making it easy and sufficient and proactive. So kudos to him. So, I assembled so many boxes yesterday. So, he had an appointment to get to help him file his taxes because it's February. It's around this time. My dad does the same thing with his business. He has a guy he always goes to. So I was there and I was assembling boxes. Well, the only boxes that we really had, there were 17, 18. We were out of 16s. We were out of 20s. There's no 19. It's kind of weird. And that's the dimension of the box. 20, 20, 20, 16, 16, 16. Across the board. Width-wise, height-wise, whatever. Length-wise. And so there was only like 1, 2, 3, 4. There were only 6 boxes left. There was one 18 and the rest were 17s. So I did those. But the other day, prior to that, he told me not to do the ones on the side. Because there's a lot. but they're 16 by 12 by 10 and 16 by, they're little boxes. So I just didn't do those, and I was cramping up. My body was starting to hurt. So I laid down. I brought my patio bed, one that just folds out, because I really didn't want to lay on. I bring my yoga mat because I step on that, even though I have shoes on, and it's more comfortable. And then eventually I have to take my shoes off. And then the other day I wasn't able to separate my little toe from my left foot. And my foot it didn't feel right. It hurt. It was starting to hurt. So I actually had to physically move my little toe over. A lot of people can't. A lot of people, since we're in shoes all the time, I can't wear regular shoes. No. Because all shoes come to some type of tapering at the end, which means that you are confining your toes in some form or fashion. And I can't do that. That's why I wear barefoot shoes. That's what it's called, barefoot shoes. And one thing bad about those is water seeps through the bottom and the top, but the bottom, yeah. So that's the only bad thing about those shoes. But they give me space for my toes. So when I was showing Will at the pool a long time ago when we first met, and I had learned yoga, toe yoga. That was one beneficial thing that they taught me. So toe yoga, and I taught him, and he couldn't separate. Like, he could not separate these. It was 3 of them. The 3 toes on the outside of your foot. So you got 5 toes. So the majority of them, he couldn't move out. Yeah. And when I was talking to my PT one time, and I said, I took my shoes off, and I said, I stand like this. I separate my toes when I stand. I act like my foot is a web foot, like all the way back to the heel. But I didn't classify. I didn't break it down for her. But I said I separate my toes. And she watched me. And she said all people should do that. Because it increases, well, she didn't justify why. But it does. It increases your base of support. The wider the stance, the more the base of support. Something has a bigger base than another. It's more likely to stand up. Continue to stand up. Instead of something like wearing stilettos. It's very little base of support. I'd be rolling my ankles in those. I could never walk in heels. So kudos to those who can walk in heels, run in heels, act like they're wearing tennis shoes. It's very impressive. No. So anyway, I get off topic. I always try to just do daily video logs. But you know me, I tell stories, which seem to be entertaining to some people. Or they get annoyed. I don't know. I guess if you get annoyed, stop listening to me. And that would solve that issue. So I laid down on my little bed that I brought. That way I could stretch my pelvic floor muscles. Because if you let your knees fall out to the side, and you, like a frog, kind of, frog position, and you just let them rest. Don't force them. You just let them rest. It will, that's what stretches your pelvic floor muscles. Makes it feel better. When I was coming back from my pelvic floor PT appointment, Chuck picked me up. He's a driver of WellRide, and you always get various people, but I tend to get the same 3 people. There's a white man. He's a little chunky, but he's a nice white man. There is, well, they're all white. I shouldn't say that. They're all white. There's a female, and then there's Chuck, and then there's the other guy. Anyway, Chuck is the one that I talked about that's from the Northwest Church, but I've never been to his church. The only time I've had encounters with Chuck was in the car. But he always seemed to like me. He always seemed to admire my spirit, I guess you can say. He's a good guy. I feel positive vibes from him, and I was very appreciative. I think that's kind of what happened was one day I totally spaced my appointment, right? And then all of a sudden somebody rang my doorbell. I was like, what is going on? So I was still in my PJs. I think I had my robe on. My hair was all crazy now that it's long. I have bed hair. So crazy how long it is. My hair looks dark. But yeah, see? Anyway, my hair looks dark when it's wet too. But it's not wet. But it's getting longer. So I was all crazy, right? I had just woke up. And I said, oh shit, I totally forgot. I said, I'll be right there. He said, okay, you better hurry. You know, and it seemed like I didn't know if he was on edge or not. I didn't know. So I tried to hurry. You know, I wet down my hair, you know, washed my face at least, changed my clothes, and I was out the door, which is usually all it takes. And then I didn't have time to brush my teeth. I don't brush my teeth like I should. I can't bite on this tooth, but I think God planned it perfectly because right now I am scheduled to have a dentist appointment. And I was explaining to Haley that I haven't been to the dentist, but besides just last time when they did x-rays this year, I haven't been in the dentist since I was 21 years old. Because I never could afford it. Because you have to get insurance. It's not like the state here. In Kansas, you have to get your own insurance, which is usually through your job. And then you have an option to get vision or dentist. But both of those packages are a price in themselves. And at the time, I had glasses. I got LASIK when I was 32. Yeah. I got LASIK when I was 32, 31, 32. And so I don't need glasses anymore. But that was a main priority. You know, I had to be able to see. So I don't want to sacrifice my teeth, but, you know, you can get false teeth. Can't really get false eyes. Good luck with that one. You just go blind and you have to navigate the world without your eyesight. I give kudos to those people. Proprioception. They have very good proprioception. I can do that in the pool. ChatGPT said that's very rare. I'm sure people can do it. I don't know. I orientate myself to a corner. Otherwise, I float out into the big open sea. Ahead of the people that are out there because it's a class. So sometimes I end up next to them and I open my eyes and I'm like, oh shit, and go back to my corner. Anyway, I miss the pool. I'm going to get back to the pool. I just may miss out on my flex fund. Hopefully I can explain to Monica. I don't know. I just can't fill in the part that I have a job. Because I don't want them to know that. Because she is part of my insurance. And I need my insurance right now. Because my body's not back. Anyway, so I started reading my book. Because he told me not to do those boxes the other day. The 16 by 12 by 10. And then there's like two other different sizes that are like, well, they're bigger or smaller. I don't know. But, so I didn't do them. So I laid down because I was also in a lot of pain. And then I was reading through my book. I think I'm going to do a video, maybe. Because initially, like, I'm not a book reader. I don't read very fast. Usually takes me forever to get through a book. I'd rather listen to it. But I wanted it in hard copy because I wanted to be able to highlight it. Because if I listen to it and I listen to the whole thing, I'm not going to catch every bit that I want to address. You know what I mean? Or remember. I'm just going to remember as a whole, not just each segment. That's why you take notes in class. When you go to a class, you take notes. And then that way you have every bit of the information, not just a general summary of what happened. So anyway. So I was reading through the book. So I think I'm going to do videos maybe of each chapter. That way I don't have to go back and read it. I can just listen to myself. Because I'm very good about doing that, apparently. Except I haven't been listening to the last ones. The last one was an hour and a half long. Of course, I haven't done it in like a couple months. So I had a lot to catch you up on. And I'm sure It was a summary. See? Prime example. Anyway, so he got back and he had me try some of his chicken because he cooked chicken when he got home the night before. Oh, and I need a brighter light. Probably should turn that one up. My lamp's over there. Anyway, so he made some chicken, but it was good. He said, "Is it spicy?" I'm like, "No." And then a little later, it kicked in a little bit of spice. It wasn't hot. To me, I can't take hot at all. That's the thing. Like hot Cheetos, I cannot do. My mouth is on fire. I don't know how people can just eat those like candy. Like, shit. So after a little while, the kick kicked in, and I was like, "Ooh." He said, "You want another bite?" I said, "No, not unless I had like mashed potatoes or something to calm down the spice." And I said, "We weren't educated in spices." That's the thing. White people don't really season their food compared to other people. Somebody made a statement that white people half season their food. Black people fully season their food. And I've kind of been a witness to that. Because, yeah. So he said put thyme or something in there, and rosemary and something else. And yeah, we don't do all that. The only thing I really remember is like growing up, my mom didn't really teach me how to cook. That's the thing. But I remember like she would bake. So we used like nutmeg and cinnamon and stuff like that. That would be familiar sound to me, or look, and I know what you're talking about. The other stuff, no. And he talks about curry. He uses curry and turmeric. He said his dad uses a lot of turmeric, except it stains. And he taught me how to make rice by scratch, on the stove, not us white people that need a rice maker. Because I thought the only way I could make rice is in a rice maker, because I didn't know how to make it. Yeah, he taught me how to make it. And the first time I made it by myself, I didn't burn it. I was pretty proud of myself. I made a big pot, too. I didn't hardly eat it, though. I'm not really a rice person. I'd rather have mashed potatoes. I grew up on mashed potatoes. I just did. Mashed potatoes and corn. That was a given. That was always our sides at my dad's house. We liked mashed potatoes and corn. Kill it. They'll sue us. That's what we ate. We didn't put no greens in there. No. My mom would get spinach out of a can. And we had to sit there and eat it. You couldn't get up from the table unless you finished your food. No. My brother got smart on it. My younger brother. Because he would put it in his mouth, chew it, and spit it back out. That way he didn't have to eat it. He didn't have to eat already chewed up food. ABC food. I don't forget what that stands for. Already chewed gum, ate something. I don't know. That's where it comes from. That's where the saying comes from. If you give somebody your gum that you already chewed. I think it's called ABC gum. Anyway, so he made a piece of his chicken and it was good. He did good. And he made asparagus. No. It wasn't asparagus. I don't know. It looked like it's a vegetable that, for okra. He made okra. It was kind of slimy. Okra, I've tried to make okra before and it's slimy. The first time I ever ate okra was from a little package you got from the grocery store, and it was fried okra. Oh, I loved it. But now when I eat okra, it's slimy. But it's fried okra, I'd eat it. And you can even use cauliflower to make mashed potatoes. It's not potatoes, but it looks like mashed potatoes. It's actually pretty good. We used to make cauliflower, something had cheese in it. We'd make it for the residents of the There was 10 residents that lived in a greenhouse. That's what they called them, greenhouses. Why, I have no idea. It wasn't plants. It wasn't anything like that. It was like a nursing home in a house that was theirs. It was only 10 residents. And I was the cook. Kind of. They prepped the meal the day before, but the things that had to be made at that time, I had to make. He said we'd call a day short, but he'd still give me a full day pay. So he had a meet up with somebody. He had a business meeting with somebody. And he felt bad that he said, I would invite you in, but it's a business meeting with one of his other people, And I said, oh, it's okay. I had a book. I was like, it's okay. I'll read my book. And he gave me the keys, just in case it got cold in the car. So it was good. So I read a couple more pages of that book, but then my eyes started going cross-eyed. I was getting tired. I realized that if I'm trying to read and I cannot focus on the words, it's time to shut my eyes. So I shut my eyes and I laid back on the seat. My legs were draped over the center console area. I put I always bring warm clothes because it's usually kind of chilly in there. But we did put a little heater in there, so it's not too bad. But at first, when I first started working there, before I brought my own heater, and then he brought his heater later, but I'm the one that initiated it. I was like, dude, it's cold in here. But, get off topic. I put my pants, my warm pants that I bring, I put it against the center console so I was comfy, and then I laid my head back. Well, then I don't know how long I was out, but I came to, I wasn't knocked out, but I woke up and my neck was in a kink because I didn't have any pillow. I was like, damn it. So I rotated and then I was kind of chilly and I forgot about the keys. I'm so used to being left in the car with no keys. Or, I don't know. So I grabbed my sweater and I draped it over me like a blanket. Plus, I always have to have a blanket on me. Not always. Not always, always. Sometimes I wake up and I don't even have no blanket, no pillow, no nothing. I'm like, what the fuck happened? The last, 2 nights in a row. Well, I was listening to music and I just ended up falling asleep. Because I wasn't ready for bed yet because I didn't want to leave my music playing on my little speaker because I didn't want it to die. But I did that 2 nights in a row one time. And I woke up with no blanket. I'm like, what is going on? But a blanket is comfortable to me. Especially a weighted blanket. But I just can't use my weighted blanket right now because it bothers my hips and my left leg. Nothing can be on me. Guys are always like, you're so fragile. Yeah, I am. Unfortunately, I am. I know. Tell me about it. It's not a choice. I didn't choose to be this way. I didn't. My life path, I did not change. I did not choose. I was thinking to myself earlier that I think I already spoke on this. I did. I was very emotional when I was talking about it. But I don't allow myself to get anxious. I think I talked about this. I don't allow myself to get anxious or worried or fear or I don't allow myself to do that anymore. I don't. Because I'm not scared anymore. You cannot take away anything more than has not have already been taken away before. And I have overcome. Let's just put it that way. My soul was shattered. Not broke. Shattered. Soul. Not heart. Soul. Okay? So my soul was gone. So it felt like. Shattered. My driving privileges were gone. My job was gone. My ability to do my job that I went to school for was gone. My mind, my short-term memory was shot. So that was gone. My stomach, it's a hijack from acid. It's gone. My appetite, gone. My body ate itself. That was gone. My breasts were gone. My ass was gone. My hips, thighs were gone. My ability to go on my walks is gone. My ability to dance freely, or dance, really, is gone. My ability to use my hands efficiently is gone. My ability to journal, color, do crafts is very limited. So no, you cannot scare me. Throw me in a dungeon. Throw me in the lion's den. I'll come back like Daniel. Crazy thing is, I knew this when I was still suffering back in December, because I got my dad two blankets, and I got my mom 2 blankets, and me a blanket for Christmas. And my blanket says it's a wolf. So half of it's a wolf, and over here it has words. Everything on mine has words. You'll come to find out. And it says, throw me to the wolves, and I'll return, leading the pack. That's what it says. So I knew that back when I was still broken. Like broken. My body is broken right now. It's falling apart. Feels like. I'm ready to not have to rely on 750 milligrams of muscle relaxer 3 times a day to even function. But I'm still in pain. Like sitting here, I'm in pain. My low back, not low back, but it's like my sacrum, iliac crest area is seizing up, so I'm gonna have to get up. But yeah, you can't scare me no more. You can't. So if my the judge revokes my request to do community service extension, which he shouldn't, because ChatGPT first helped me write the little blurb of what I'm trying to accomplish, and I put my ER visits packet that explained everything that was going on with me when I went to the ER. It was 3 pages long. It wasn't in a letter format. It was bulleted point. So it wasn't a lot of text. It was just a lot of data. And then at the end, I say, if you agree with the fact that all this is happening to me, and you feel like I cannot safely complete my community service hours at this time, please initial a signature date. And they did. So the ER doctor did, and my primary doctor did. And he stamped it, and it has his number on it, and his name, and he signed it. So if a judge throws me in jail for not being able to complete my community service within a year's time frame, so be it. You cannot hurt me more than life has hurt me already. Yes, I would be in excruciating pain without medication. I'm not going to be able to sit on no cement or lay down on a hard bed and only have one tiny thin-ass pillow. I'm going to be miserable, yes. But I'm not going to be afraid, as long as motherfuckers keep their hands to themselves. I would make that statement. If they throw me in jail, I say they better not touch me, or I'm going to sue your ass. Like, I don't know. Anyway, point being, the only thing that you should be fearing that you could lose is yourself. I mean, yes, your loved ones, you can fear to lose them. You don't want to lose your loved ones and all that stuff. But at the end of the day, at the end of the life, you are the only person you have. If you don't have you, you can't have your other people. Like they say, you can't pour from an empty cup, which I have done my whole life. So, until now, I'm 38 years old. You can't. Like they say, you have to put your oxygen mask on first. When you're on a plane and they coach you through it, they say you have to put your oxygen mask on first. And then you help other people. A lot of people don't do that. especially nurturers. They give and they give and they give and they give some more. Yep. Until they're empty. I'm wondering why they can't pour no more. It's because nobody poured back into you. And part of that's your fault. Part of it was my own fault. Because I did not require people to pour back into me. I just kept pouring into them. There was no, hold up. This is a one-way street. This ain't cool. I didn't do that. A lot of people don't do that. And you don't get to that point until you realize that enough's enough. And only you can determine that. Like my father, he tried to save me from my ex when I was 28. When I was 28. I kicked Tim to the curb when I was 37. So yeah, you are the only one that can determine that. People can tell you left and right, don't do this, you're too good for him, or he's this or that, or she's this or that, or whatever. You have your own mind, and you determine what your life's going to be like. Sensei Spec says, show me your friends, I'll show you what your life's going to look like. Yeah, you usually are a product of your environment. Whoever you keep around your circle. Yeah, that's who you are in common with. So that's why you are friends. Otherwise, you don't become friends with people you're uncommon with. Just, it is what it is. Anyway, so back to today. So I slept in the car for a little bit. I was awake I woke up maybe 10 minutes before he came out. And he was like, you okay? And I was like, oh, I'm good. I just fell asleep. It was no biggie to me. So then we went back home. Or you drove me back home. And I got my vape out of the windowsill. But I didn't crave it all day. I didn't. It was just like, He offered to take me to a store to go get it. But he said, I don't know if the convenience store would have it. Which I know they probably wouldn't. I don't know. At least not around here. They wouldn't. And I said, it's not that big a deal. It's okay. And I had mentioned it to him on the way there. I said, damn it. I said, I forgot my vape. Fuck. And he's like, I would stop, but he has an appointment. I said, no, I don't want you to stop. Like, I didn't even ask him. I was just venting. Sometimes I just talk out loud. Usually I talk out loud to myself. That's why I started recording myself again. I'm like, I probably should record this shit. And now that I'm doing my business, I'm starting a business online, be a digital creator, do courses and stuff. But Sensei Spec said that I have to tell people my story first. Because my business isn't like other people's businesses. My business pulls at the heartstrings and stuff that people want to stay buried. I'm not like cosmetology or a profession that they have done over years and years and years of time. And now they're just going to, share that information with you. That's all people can do. Only thing that you can get from somebody else is sharing information. That's the only thing you can truly give another person that they can keep forever. Mm-hmm. See, I mentioned it. Now I wanted it. But anyway, I really didn't crave it during the day. And he even offered another time. But yeah, when he said, I would, bring you by a store, but I have an appointment. And I was like, no, I don't want you to. I want you to get to your appointment. No, fuck that vape. No. And then the convenience store, and I was like, no, I'm good. I really didn't crave it. But the reason I crave it is because, that's back when I left it at the pool, right? And I left my band at the pool. And I was so stressing about it. And I was talking to Chad about it. But the fact that I'm not really addicted to nicotine, because I wouldn't be grabbing at the other ones like that. If it didn't have nicotine in it, then it really wouldn't do something for me. Then I wouldn't grab at it like I was. So it didn't make any sense. So it's not the nicotine. It's not. Chat explained that, because I said I breathe it in, And then I kind of tuck it. Like, I feel like it goes, like, inside. And he said that there's, like, a heart chakra there or something. And I purposely, it's like a hug. He's like, you're hugging your heart. And that's why you miss it. It was a coping mechanism for you. It wasn't the nicotine in it. It was the breathing that it enabled you to do. There's a resistance of it, which allowed it to suck in and hug my heart. So I was like, giving myself a hug. And I couldn't do that no more because I didn't have my thing. Anyway. But that's why I vape. And the reason I smoke weed is I'm really not a pothead. I used to be. I used to be a pothead. Back when I was like 21, 22. I just wanted to escape. It was my escape. Time would just pass. And I'd watch a movie after work or after school. And time would just pass. But I don't want time to just pass anymore. Time is too valuable. You cannot get time back. You can't. You can get anything else back. Except if you, like, lose your hair or whatever. Unless you had cancer and you lose it and it comes back. But if you go bald, I don't know what to tell you. Or amputate a limb or something. But, you can't get time back. You can't. Even 2 minutes ago, I can't get back. You can't redo what happened either. That's another thing. I have a friend that said, I wish I could go back and do something different. I wish I could take the information that I know now and go back in time and have that information in my head. Yeah, I know. A lot of us do. Go back and correct our mistakes or, it doesn't work that way. You just have to learn from them. And sometimes you got to bang your head up against that wall multiple times before you get it. Preaching to the choir, I know. Yep. But when you realize enough is enough, you put your foot down. You do. But you are the only one that can determine that. Nobody else can. People can talk to you until they're blue in the face. Anyway, this is getting kind of long. I'll just be talking. Anyway, so I came home and finished my potato salad. My potato soup. Well, I finished the last part of my potato soup. I had some garlic bread. But I'm really not full. But I don't get hungry. I don't get hungry like other people do. If you go through starvation and then food made you sick, like, I can't just eat food regularly. I have to be mindful eating. I can't people just inhale their food. No, I can't do that. I can't. It's very uncomfortable. My stomach seizes up like you don't want it in there. That's what it feels like. But if I try to really dial into the texture and the taste, and if I like it, type of thing, kind of become one with the food instead of just inhaling it. That's what mindful eating is. And I had to do that to start even initially eating, and then I continually have to do that. And I don't get hungry. But when I do get hungry, it's like a pit in my stomach. And it's a pit I could not ignore. At the very beginning, the first time I went through starvation, yes, I would ignore it. My stomach would just growl and growl and growl and growl and growl until it stopped. Oh, that goes back to, I told my dad that I stopped eating one meal. He said, I told my dad I stopped eating. He said, Lisa, you know better than that. You can't stop eating. I said, well, I just cut out one meal. So I eat one meal a day now. And he said, oh, that's not bad. That's not bad. I lost 48 pounds doing that. My body ate itself. So I don't know how my dad gets away with it. Because all he does, initially, now that Connie's in his life, he eats like protein bar or protein shake. Like midday at 2 o'clock. That's snack time. But he wakes up, he drinks a glass of milk, whole milk, maybe a donut occasionally, but usually just a glass of milk. And then he wouldn't eat till 5 o'clock. He would eat a big supper. That's all he did. That's how he ate. So he didn't see it as a big deal. That you were still eating. You just eat once a day, like me. Yeah, it was not a good idea. So anyway, I did make some homemade ranch. I might make me a salad. I just didn't cook my bacon. I would like to put bacon in it. Maybe it's 9 o'clock. I'm not going to work tomorrow because he has 2 appointments. He has 2 doctor's appointments tomorrow. The one I was thinking about, that was at 11. I think it was 11. Anyway, he has 2 doctor's appointments tomorrow. And he wants to get braces. Apparently he has a gap in his teeth. I don't know. I haven't really paid attention. When I talk to him, I talk to people's eyes. I don't know. So I have tomorrow off. I'm going to be doing daycare for Lexi and Luna, which are pit bulls that are very nice, he says. I hate that people assume that certain breeds are mean. It's really on the way how you raise them. But my mentor, she explained that it's actually the hierarchy of which they were born. Like the firstborn, I think, is usually the alpha. So when people get like a Rottweiler or whatever, and they try to make it a alpha dog, mean, aggressive, protector, whatever, they have massive anxiety because that is not their actual nature. The firstborn would be like that, but that doesn't mean the whole litter is like that. She learned that off of, I forget what that guy's name is. He's famous. He's on TV a lot. He has a TV show about dogs. He's a dog trainer type person. But like reactive dogs or whatever. I forget his name. I think he's Hispanic. I don't know. I try not to guess people's ethnicities because I could be wrong, or I could say it wrong. Whatever. Me, I just say white. I'm white. Some people want to be called Caucasian. Some people want to be called black, or some people want to be called African American or African or wherever. Jamaican. Of course, if that's where they're from, of course, that's what they want to be called. But anywho, this is getting kind of long. I think it's made some valid points. I just be talking. I just say, Lord, talk through me. I just be talking. Whatever you want me to say, I'll say it. As long as I don't know. Sometimes I say things I shouldn't say. I don't know. I'm just me. I just be real. I can't get the TV to be bright anymore. What happened to my bright? Because my picture's getting dark. Anywho, see? All my pictures, all my clothes have writing on them. So this, I was in Staples, right? And the guy said, he was an older white guy. And he said, I've attended that meeting too. It says, if you see me talking to myself, move along. We are having a team meeting. He said, yeah, I've attended that meeting too. It was funny. Anywho. All right. Well, today was February 4th, 2026. I was convicted of a DUI last year. And then I had like a breakdown the next day because I confessed to something I did not do. You could have charged me with reckless driving. Yes. I fell asleep at the wheel. It terrified me. I woke up and I was in the other lane. So yes, you could have charged me with that. But no, I was not intoxicated. But nobody wanted to believe me. So whatever. When I told the judge yes, and she said, that sounds like a yes with a question mark. She said, you can't take it back. So I just said yes. And then at court, you can tell that some people who, are fessed up, they're kind of, you can tell by people's expressions. And I'm sure she could tell, even from the first time, because she could tell it was questionable that I actually was like, yes, I did it. And so at the end, I said, I'm sorry, I won't do it again. Anywho. Oh, I was talking to Chuck. Chuck was the driver earlier. Oh, the reason it meant a lot was because I know he was waiting in that car for a little while. And when I came out, he didn't have an attitude. He wasn't edgy. I didn't feel any heat off of him, like energy wise. And so when I got to my appointment, which was literally down the street, I used to be able to walk to, I gave him a hug. First time I gave him a hug. I told him, thank you for your patience. Thank you for being patient with me. So the other day, he picked me up from my PT appointment. And he said, I've been looking forward to this my whole day. He said, the second I saw you were on my schedule, I was looking forward to seeing you. Like, aw. Yeah. But it's not like a creepy way. It's like a grandpa way. You know what I mean? He's an older man. You know, and he's not a nasty older man. I've been around lots of those. But no, he has a good heart. So he started to undo his seatbelt when we got in, and he opened his door and he closed it, and he was like, I can help you up the stairs, because I'd be struggling. I do. I have to hold on to the wall. There's no rail at the very beginning. You know, you can tell I'm struggling. I struggle to walk. It's very obvious. Anyway, so yeah, I said, you can help me because the first couple steps doesn't have a rail. So he helped me. And then I asked him if he wanted to see my porch, because you can't see up. All you can see is my garage and that there's stairs. You cannot see what my actual home looks like. So if you go up, there's a porch and there's a backyard, and you can't see all that from the street because I'm up high. So I said, you want to see my porch? Because I was very proud of my porch. Well, it was, because all my plants died. But that's okay. You can always replace them, I guess. But I have a lot of pots and stuff, so I'm set. But anyway, my porch, Kovu figured out how to get through the slots of the porch. So I had to figure out a way to block that off. My dad suggested using chicken wire. But chicken wire is ugly. I don't want to see that. So I found on Temu, of course, was like, there were crisscrosses, you know, and it can expand, and you can put them on your fence. And mine looks like leaves and little purple flowers. So that's what it looks like around my porch when you get up top. So he liked it. And I showed him my chairs, my lawn chairs that I got. They were supposed to be originally $89 a piece, but I got them for $21 a piece because they were on clearance, because it was starting to become cold outside. It was patio furniture. And I told him I drove there and I wasn't supposed to. I said, but I didn't get caught. He said, that's good. He didn't scold me, so he was just glad I didn't get caught. Anyway, but yeah, it meant a lot that he said that when I saw you on my schedule, I was looking forward to it, even though it's a short drive. It's like 10 minutes. But on our way, that was what I was getting. On our way home, I explained to him that my PT said that it's okay to do osculation in public. Because I told her that it doesn't look appropriate and people get the wrong impression, blah, blah, blah. Well, osculation is when it's a rapid shaking. That's what osculation is. Just a fancy word. But ever since my chiropractor explained that nerves run right along the bone, right next to the bone, okay? And I realized that shaking my lower half, like certain parts of my leg, I can do certain segments. I'm very coordinated that way. I'm very in tune with my body. Let's just put it that way. And so it looks like I'm shaking my ass and shit. You know what I mean? So it can look inappropriate. But people just need to get the head out of the gutter. To get their head out of the gutter. So my PT said, do it, because it makes you feel better. But I explained to him, I didn't do it in front of Chuck, no. But I was explaining to him that if you do osculation, and since the nerve is next to the bone, and if you let everything else just hang loose, your muscles, your fat, everything, you know, you just let it hang loose and just shake, it feels better. It makes you feel better. It's like you give your nerves room to breathe. That's what it feels like. He said, that makes sense. I said, yeah. It's true. Everything that I've discovered on my own. Besides the foot yoga. The toe yoga. Other than that, everything else I've done, I discovered on my own. Anywho, been talking for an hour and 5 minutes. I always like to rewatch these, but then they get so long, and I'm like, I don't got time to rewatch this. So anyway, it's gonna be a bitch trying to go through and cut out segments of 60 to 90 seconds clips out of an hours longs of videos, and you're supposed to leave them with questions. You know, you want them to not get the full story. Like, oh, unclarity is actually pretty good when you're trying to promote something or lure people. You know, they're like, what's going on? What's coming next? But then you don't want to confuse people either. Be like, what the fuck am I listening to? So you kind of have to prime them. But anyway, I'm still working on it. One step at a time. Anyway, love you, Lisa. Mwah. Catch you later.